MacNeil. I'm the blockchain product manager at RightMesh. So today, it's estimated that 95% of all information is available digitally, yet 3.9 billion people, or 56% of the world, is unconnected. That's why in 2015, the United Nations deemed internet accessibility a basic human right. Unfortunately, centralized ISPs are one of the key blockers to actually extending coverage to the rest of the world. So today, if two people want to send each other a message via WhatsApp, what happens is the data is transferred from the first phone through the Wi-Fi network to a regional ISP, then through several different routers and servers to the internet backbone, and then back down through that same path. This is largely inefficient because data is essentially being paid for twice, once to be sent and once to be received. So in addition to those inefficiencies, centralized ISPs can be easily influenced and controlled by governments and corporations. So depending on where you live in the world, you may have access to different kind of news and applications depending on what that telco allows. So lack of infrastructure is one of the key issues with actually extending that coverage. Telcos decide where they're going to build out infrastructure based on the expectation of profit. So in Canada, for example, in an Inuit town in northern Canada, internet's not available between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. because there's only one internet connection there. Internet affordability is the main barrier to adoption for internet access. So in South Africa, approximately 30% of one's income needs to be spent in order to access the internet and access data. And globally, the data prices need to fall by about 90% in order to be universally accessible. Internet shutdowns have been increasing in frequency over the last several years. So in Iran, most frequently, what occurred was during some protests, the internet was shut down, and as well as access to different applications like Telegram. Net neutrality is the concept that all traffic, content, and applications should be treated equally. So unfortunately, in the United States, this was just voted to be repealed. So this means different telcos like Comcast and AT&T can now profit based on what websites you want to access. Censorship is another key issue. So repressive regimes wanting to control the narrative of how they're perceived in the media. Obviously, this is a huge issue in North Korea. And then in China, most recently, they banned the letter N because it was being used in a derogatory way towards the leader. Natural disasters can significantly impact centralized internet service infrastructure. So in Puerto Rico right now, several months after the hurricane, the internet still hasn't been reconnected fully, let alone power for a lot of the people that live there. So it's clear that a new approach is needed in order to be able to efficiently and affordably connect the world. One that does not require centralized telcos to decide when it's profitable for people to actually extend that coverage to the rest of the world. So this is why we've built RightMesh, which is a peer-to-peer mesh networking protocol. It allows for the creation of mobile mesh networks, which allow for peer-to-peer connectivity that does not require a centralized ISP in order to actually extend that coverage to the rest of the world. It also includes tokenization so that people can buy and sell data through the network and is integrated with blockchain. So how it works is the protocol allows devices to connect directly peer-to-peer rather than needing an internet service provider to direct that message between two people. So I think everybody here can agree that you've probably experienced the internet a little bit laggy and whatnot because there's so many of us putting a lot of pressure on the network here. What you can imagine then is if there was a messaging app that had the mesh protocol integrated into it, we could all still message one another and also have photos shared between one another, regardless of whether we have internet connectivity or not, because the data is being transferred directly phone to phone rather than through the internet. The protocol also allows for people to be able to sell data through the network, therefore physically extending the coverage of internet into areas where they may not have access, or also selling it for a little bit more of an affordable rate for a lot of people out there. So With RightMesh, we really hope to be able to extend peer-to-peer infrastructure and tokenization to help bring the socioeconomic benefits of the internet to the other 3.9 billion that do not currently have access. If you're interested, come talk to me later, or you can check out our website, rightmesh.io. Thank you.